Hi guys, welcome to Wanna Talk with Brandy. Thanks for being here today. I'm so grateful that you're here and I'm so happy to be here with you. So I want to spend a little bit of time exploring anxiety. Anxiety is an emotion that I think every single person has experienced at some point in their lives, some of us more than others. Some of us have better ways of being able to cope with it. And for some people, it can become really debilitating in a lot of different ways. So this is going to be the first of maybe 2 or even 3 videos where we really explore some of the most common causes of anxiety that we really have the ability to affect positive change with, but maybe we just don't realize that. So I want to just share with you a little bit about the kind of therapy that I practice most commonly with my clients that I see individually on a daily basis. I lean into something called acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT is what it's commonly referred to as. And one of the things that I really like about ACT is that's a little bit different than some other types of more traditional like cognitive behavioral therapies is that it doesn't try to make a person get rid of their negative feelings, which is what I think most of us want to and try to do. But acceptance and commitment therapy really encourages people to, obviously the word acceptance is in the title, but accept the things that they can't change and then focus on what they actually have control over changing. And we can't really get rid of emotions. We can learn how to respond differently to the negative or unwanted emotions that we have. And so that's what I really like about that type of therapy, and it's something that I work really closely with my clients to try to help them have a different relationship with negative emotions instead of kind of spinning our wheels so much trying to get rid of emotions when we really can't necessarily get rid of them in the way that we would maybe like to. So I want to talk a little bit about what is, something most common that can cause people to feel anxious, and what I've learned over the years of working with my clients and experiencing this on my own, of course, is when we spend a lot of time in either the past or in the future instead of the present, we can experience heightened anxiety. So what I mean by that is any place outside of the present moment, we lose control. We can't change things that have already happened. So when we spend a lot of time and energy focusing on things that already happened, and I call it shoulding ourselves because people think that's funny and it sounds like shitting, so it's easy to remember. So when we spend too much time shoulding ourselves, we lose a sense of control because we can't change what already happened. So we're just thinking over and over again about what we could have done differently, what we should have done differently, what we wish we would have done differently. And I know every person can relate to that in some way or another. You have an experience where you leave a situation and immediately your mind starts thinking about what you could have said, or I wish I would have said this, or I should have done this, or I think that's a normal experience for most of us to have, but it also becomes really unhelpful and unhealthy when we allow ourselves to spend too much time in that realm because we can't undo it. We can't change it. So that's a futile effort of just kind of wasting energy. Likewise, if we spend too much time in the future thinking about what could happen, and I call that what ifing ourselves. So if we spend a lot of time doing that, some people are familiar with the term catastrophic thinking or catastrophizing, kind of going to worst case scenarios. Some of us are really good at doing that, right? We can predict the whole future of what's going to happen, and we really get into these negative thought spirals of, if this thing happens, then this will happen, and if that happens, then this will happen, and if that happens, then this will happen. And we really go down the rabbit hole of negative thinking, of negative thought spiraling. And that feels so out of control too. Because the reality is, no matter how prepared we feel like we are, we cannot control what's going to happen. Life is going to life, right? Life is going to happen no matter what we try to do to prevent certain things from happening. And all the while that we might be spending so much time and energy trying to predict and plan for what's going to happen, we're not being present. We're missing out on what's happening in the present moment. So we're far better off to spend our time and put our attention and our energy and our effort into being present in the moment. And so the message that I want to leave you with for the weekend is to spend some time trying to be super present by using mindfulness. Everybody's heard that term. Some people know what it means, some people don't. It's kind of one of the new buzzwords these days. So mindfulness is literally just being super present on what's happening to you right now in the moment, and really focusing in on how you feel. So connecting with the present moment. So stepping outside and paying attention to what the smells are, what the sounds are that you can hear, what the air feels like. Is it warm? Is it cold? If you're here around where I live, it's cold. There's a bunch of snow on the ground and it's windy and it's cold. Is the sun shining? How does that feel on your skin? If you've watched some of my other videos, we've been exploring the relationship with food. So you can be present and mindful when you're eating food, noticing how it's making your body feel. What does it feel like in your mouth? There's so many ways to be present and just focusing on what you actually have control over right now. How does all of that relate to anxiety? Is probably what you're saying. Why are we talking about mindfulness? Why are we talking about being present? Because it's the one place that you actually have control. And when you feel most in control, you have less anxiety. It also allows us to be responsive to our anxiety rather than reactive. What's the difference between being responsive and reactive? Most of us, most of the time, if we're not being mindful and if we're not being present, are just reacting to our emotions instead of responding to them. And I think of a reaction as something that's automatic. It just sort of happens. We don't put a lot of thought into it. Kind of like when you go to the doctor and they want to check your reflexes and they tap that little mallet on your knee to see if your foot's going to kind of kick out a little bit. That's a reaction. Swallowing, that's a reaction. We don't think about those things. They just happen, right? We sneeze, that's a reaction. Something tickles our nose and it makes us sneeze. We don't think, I should probably sneeze right now. It just happens. That's a reaction, and that's the relationship that many of us have with our emotions, especially negative emotions like anxiety. We just start reacting to what we're feeling and we're not really thinking about it. So the difference between reacting and responding is that if you're responding, that's you making a choice. And if you're being very present, if you're being mindful, if you're paying attention to everything that's happening around you and how you feel, you feel more in control of you. And that allows you to be able to take a step back, think about how you want to respond to something instead of just going into autopilot and reacting to it. So, excuse me, I want to continue this line of thinking, and I want to add something to that next time. So the next video around anxiety is going to focus on values and how values are related to anxiety and how we can reduce the anxiety that we feel by living a values-driven life. So that's what's to come regarding anxiety. So this weekend, challenge yourself to be mindful. Spend at least 1 mindful minute, focusing on something about your body, connecting with the present moment. You can do something called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which if there are any therapists in the audience, you guys know exactly what I mean. And that's a simple exercise where you just stop for a minute, you look around the room and you name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can smell, 2 things that you can taste and 1 thing that you can touch. Or you can switch it around. So you can do 3 things that you touch and 1 thing that you smell. Or you can rearrange those however you want. But the idea is you're being mindful. You're stopping and you're grounding yourself back to the present moment so that you can be responsive instead of reactive to your anxiety. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will see you soon. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me over on Instagram. And be mindful, be in control, be responsive. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.